Oh, what a beautiful day. It is absolutely freezing, literally at 0, but isn't it an amazing day? And here's a great question, and I always like to ask this question of myself and other people. Are you loving your day? And if not, what's stopping you from loving your day? Because we often say that, how you going, how's your day? But here's what some people share with me when I ask, what is stopping you from having a great day? And there's a lot of people who share that. Have you noticed? I'm not having a great day because. And one of the things that's interesting, particularly in the exercise profession, is I feel guilty. And I always ask, what do you feel guilty about? And it's I feel guilty because I missed a training session, or I feel guilty because I ate something I shouldn't have, or I ate too many carbs, or I didn't drink enough water, or I didn't lift heavy enough, or I didn't go to bed early enough. And we've got a big long list of things that we feel guilty about. So it's an interesting emotion, guilt, and I've got another great question. Could we use it to our advantage, or do we have to look at guilt as a disadvantage? And if guilt is a feeling, it's an emotion, obviously it's real. So whenever you felt guilt in the past, what did you feel guilty about? And here's the best question of all when it comes to the past. Can you change the past? Anything that's happened in the past, whether it's 1 second ago, 1 minute ago, 1 day ago, 10 years ago, even if you're 120 and it was 100 years ago, is there anything that you can change? And of course the answer is no. And here's another really interesting question. If you have to ask the question, is it possible that you already know the answer? So if you've got that feeling of, I shouldn't have done that, is it possible that you shouldn't have done that? Can't change that I did it, but here I am now. I get to make a decision. I've got this thing inside my body, and I'm going to use it as an interesting analogy. I think that guilt's a little bit the same as being hungry or thirsty or tired. It's your body telling you something. So if you're thirsty, you need to have a drink. If you're hungry, obviously have some food. If you're tired, go to sleep. If you feel guilty, could it mean that whatever you did was something that perhaps you should not have done? Now, I can't change that I did it, but I'm now at a position where I can make a decision on how I'm going to handle this in the future. And is it possible that a lot of people get caught up in the guilt of, and it pulls them down? So they feel depressed or anxious or angry or disappointed in themselves because they did something that they shouldn't have. And I'll use now food again. If I ate it, I can't change that I ate it. If I didn't exercise yesterday, I can't change that. But now I get to make a decision. But the beautiful thing about guilt, if you don't like that feeling, is it possible that you can get rid of that feeling by A, not doing the same thing again or doing what you were supposed to do today? And then in the future, knowing that guilt didn't make you feel good, could it be a really good idea to have listened to that and said, okay, that made me feel a certain way. I don't want to do that in the future, so I'm not going to do that again. Now, I think as humans, and this might just be human nature, that we often, even though we feel guilty, we do it anyway. So there's things that, and we call it a guilty pleasure. So I shouldn't be watching this, or I shouldn't be eating this, or I shouldn't be doing this with this person, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I'll deal with the consequences later. Well, interestingly, that word guilt is part of the consequence, isn't it? So you feel guilty now and I shouldn't be doing it. And then after you did it, you feel really guilty because you know that you shouldn't have done it. And then how's that going to make you feel in the future? So one of the special things that I was taught I was very young when I learnt this, and I'm really glad that I've been able to take it into the rest of my life, is I can't change what I did yesterday. But whatever I did yesterday, I can make sure that it affects my future in a positive way rather than a negative one. I get to choose. Could you get to choose too? So should we listen to our emotions? And I think they're amazing, a bit like hunger and thirst and tired. It's our body telling us that there's some things that need to change. So if I feel guilty about that, and I'll ask the question again, if I have to ask the question, should I have done that? Perhaps I already know the answer. The answer is no, I shouldn't have done that, and I'm not going to do it again because I know how it's making me feel. So when it comes to food and exercise though, and they are the ones that come up constantly with the people that I talk to, I feel guilty because I didn't eat that or because I did eat that, or I feel guilty because I didn't exercise or I should have exercised. Well, what if food and exercise just became a normal part of our life? And I use the example of brushing my teeth. I don't feel guilty when I don't brush my teeth because I would never not brush my teeth. because I don't like the way it makes me feel when I don't brush my teeth. So that's a part of my life that just doesn't exist, because I always brush my teeth, because I don't want to ever feel yucky and have a yucky mouth from not brushing my teeth. So that's what I've done with exercise. And it's not my special Rowie thing, Rowie exercises every day. No, I just exercise because part of my life. Like brushing my teeth is part of my life, and having a shower is part of my life, and eating food is part of my life. I like to exercise every day because of the way it makes me feel. So I never have to feel guilty for not exercising, because I always do. I never have to feel guilty about the food that I eat. And I think this is a really special one, because most of my career path as an personal exercise coach, and certainly as a health club manager around the world, one of the things that, this is just personal, but I've dealt a lot with eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, exercise bulimia, obesity. And it seems that those things have a lot of guilt involved. So what leads us down the path of being somebody who doesn't want to eat food? What leads us down the path of I've got to exercise fanatically because I put 500 calories into my body? What leads us down the path of I'm just going to eat food and eat food and eat food and eat food, even though I probably shouldn't, it's not good for my health? They're really controversial topics, I get that. But what puts us in that position? And one of the things I have taken very careful note of, because I don't have a cure for any of those challenges, but I would love our kids not to ever have them. I would love our world from this day forward to not have anorexia or bulimia or exercise bulimia or obesity. That's me being my optimistic self. But one of the things that has definitely been an awareness thing for me, and certainly everywhere I've been in the world, is that a lot of those challenges seem to come from guilt. If I eat that, I'm a bad person. Or that's a bad food, so if I eat that, I'm a bad person. I want to be a bad person because I hate myself, so I'm just going to keep eating and eating and eating. That's one of the things one of my obese clients shared with me. She just said, I hate myself. So if I just keep eating, it makes me feel really bad about myself. So it's almost like a painful pleasure. I'm sharing that very personally with you because as adults, we get to choose what we want, but I don't want that for our kids. How about you? I don't want our kids to ever feel guilty about eating food or about not exercising. I just want, and this is what I've wanted all of my career path. Eat when you're hungry, stop eating when you're full, exercise for energy, performance, look good in the mirror, get the results that you want. And I think they're the important things that we should be able to get from our eating and exercise plan. A stack of energy, high performance, a body that looks and feels good, and the results that we want. And I don't know where guilt fits into there. None of that works for me. We get to make all of our integrity choices, our right and wrong choices, our good and bad choices. As adults, we get to make those choices. But if our kids are constantly bombarded with that's a bad food, is it possible that there'll be a connection to if I eat that bad food, I become a bad person, so then I feel guilty. And if I'm a bad person and I feel guilty, maybe I deserve to feel guilty, so I'm going to do that more because I'm a bad person. This is a really interesting psychological cycle, and I don't like it. I don't want to see it in people, and I have seen it literally in hundreds, if not thousands of people. That horrible feeling of guilt. I shouldn't have done that. So I'm going to ask the question again. I can't change that I did it, but can I make a decision today to either not do it again or never want to feel that way again? And if I enjoy all the food that I eat, so there's no stigma on it, it's not good or bad food, it's just food, what if I took control of that situation? So rather than have people tell me that's a good or a bad food, how about I decide I want to eat what I enjoy? I'm not going to waste calories on food that I don't like. I'm going to exercise to get a major benefit for my health and fitness and to feel good. And I'm not going to let people make me feel guilty and that's an interesting thing. I'll just go back a step there. I'm not going to let people make me feel guilty. Is that even possible? Isn't it that we allow other people to make us feel guilty? And it might be our parents or our partner or our friends who say, you should have. I have had the experience of lots of mums in health clubs that say to me, Rowie, I need to cancel my membership, for example, because my family's making me feel guilty about coming to the gym. I should be at home with my family. I've had dads say to me that their wife and kids get angry with them because they've gone to the gym or they've got a gym in the garage or they've gone out for a bike ride or they want to keep healthy, fit and strong, and their family's trying to make them feel guilty about their exercise plan. I've had husbands and wives both share with me that my husband makes me feel guilty when I have a piece of cake, or my wife makes me feel guilty if I put on 5 kilos when I stand on the scales. Guilt, 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 guilt. That's other people trying to make you feel guilty. Isn't that awful? So how about we don't do that? How about we decide what's going to be best for us, from what we eat, the exercise that we do, the choices we make in our life. What are our core values? What do we stand for? What do we believe in? What would we die for? Let's not negotiate those. I always ask people this when they come to the Max International Colleges. What are your non-negotiable standards? What are the standards you have set for your life? What do you believe in? What do you stand for? What would you die for? I'm asking that question again because I think if you live by those standards and you go to bed at night or you look in the mirror at the end of your day and you can say, I've lived to my standards. And if I haven't, rather than feeling guilty, how about learn from that? Okay, I screwed up today. I made a mistake. I'm not going to do that again because I don't like the way it makes me feel. Versus the downward spiral of I feel guilty, so I'm going to eat or I'm going to drink or I'm going to gamble or I'm going to just be a crappy person because I feel bad about myself. Really tough questions to ask yourself, but I'm asking because I ask myself every day, what did I do today to become a better person, a stronger person, a wiser person? What did my past teach me? What did my mistakes teach me so that I can be a better person in the future? And if we live that example for our kids, is it possible that our kids could grow up that way too? If our kids see that we make a mistake and learn from it, if our kids see that we ate too much and we say, rather than I feel terrible because I ate too much, I'm a really bad person, just say, well, I ate too much, so now I'm going to skip dinner, or I'm going to exercise a bit harder tomorrow. But it's not an emotional thing. It's not a I feel bad about myself. It's just a logical, well, I ate too much, so now I'm not going to do that again because I don't like the way it made me feel. And is it possible if we don't do that, that we get into the downward spiral, the constant downward spiral of I feel bad, so I'm going to do it. I feel bad, so I'm going to do it again. Doesn't make any sense, does it? If you feel bad, don't do it again so you don't feel bad again. Guilt is an emotion. Let's use it as a driving force. Okay, I feel guilty about that. I don't want to feel that way again. Let's not ignore it because it's an emotion, it's a feeling, but could we learn from it and grow from it rather than become weaker and angry and depressed and bitter and twisted about it? Could that be a good idea? Could we do that for our kids so our kids can see that being a human and making mistakes is normal, but we can learn from our mistakes and go forward rather than down? Could that be a good idea? I feel good, because I knew that I would. Because I love my life, and whatever happened yesterday, I'm going to make it better today and tomorrow. Thank you for coming to Romax. My name's Rowie, and I would love you to live your life to the max. Woohoo! Look here.